Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. Just doing a little work here quickly. Welcome to Horror Movie Nights. And if you've seen the video today, you know what it's going to be. Hello there. Hey, Julie. Hey, Martha. Hello, hello. Hello. Hey, Kingfisher. Hey, Shirley. Hey, Judy. Hey, Kimmy. Hey, Fred Ward Forever. Hello, Danis. Hello, hello. I'm so glad to see you here, Fred Ward. Hey, Pamela. Hey, Sweets. Hey, Firefly. Hello, XJ. Hey, Just. Hey, Matt. Hello, Gracie. Hello, Fire Taurus 66. Do you like scary stories? Hey, Jennifer, thank you for sharing the live. Hey, Tara. Hey, Leslie Marie. Let's start sharing the live, everyone, please. And thank you. Hey, Sherry. Hello, Randall. Hey, Kimmy. Hello, Miranda. Why, thank you, Miranda. That's very sweet of you to say. Thank you. Let's see. Chapter 1. You've seen the movie, but have you read the book? Tonight, I will be telling Misery by Stephen King. Hello, hello, hello. Make yourselves at home. Hey, Magic Moon. Hey, Eric Jones. Hello, Eddie Santiago. Hey, Indiana Girl. Hello, Auntie Mel. Hey, Shirley. Oh, but it's so good. Just Human, welcome. Sweets, hello. Come on in, make yourselves at home. Everyone is welcome here. Your Night Queen has been extremely busy today. I hardly had enough time to breathe. Yes, I'm ready. Thank you. Two minutes. Hey, Jim Rocks. Hey, Marine's daughter. Hello, NB. That's all right, sweets. A lot of people do. Hello, Ashley Z. Welcome. Let's start sharing the live, if you would. Hello, Lulu. Hello, James Swartz. Hey, Rhonda. Hello, Neverfold. Hey, Angel. Hello, Nia. Hello, Melanie. Hey, Kathy Mitchell. Let's change up the music, shall we? What can we find? Oh, that might work. Can you hear the music on TikTok and YouTube? Please let me know. Setting the scene. Hello, Bobby Johnson. Hello, Felicia Powell 7. Thank you for the follow. Hello, Jess. How are you? Hey, Palm. Do you have 5 friends that you can share this live with? Just like James did. Do you have 5 friends? They might like scary stories too. You've seen the movie. We all have. But have you read the book? This is the first Thursday night where I am going to be bringing a horror movie to you in book form. Tonight, we are going to hear the story, a Stephen King classic, Misery. Have you ever seen it? Oh, it is chilling. What happens when obsession goes just a little too far? But first, let's prepare for story time. Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Light a candle for ambiance. Pull those curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself up in your warmest blanket as I begin to tell the story of Misery. Chapter 1, Room 217, and the last cigarette. There is a moment between triumph and terror, when the world holds its breath. And it's in that breath that everything changes. Let's set the scene. The snow is falling in the Colorado mountains, and somewhere off a winding road, a man is finishing his final novel. He doesn't know it yet, but he's written his own eulogy. This is chapter 1 of Misery. There was a ritual to Paul Sheldon's writing, one that bordered on the sacred. And I get that. With me being an author, I have a ritual too. I always have a glass of wine and a piece of chocolate. But with Paul, it began with room 217 at the Boulderado Hotel. Always room 217. It had to be room 217. He had written the last 4 Misery Chastain novels there. He would arrive with little more than a typewriter, a stack of yellow legal pads, a box of numbered 2 pencils, and a bottle of Dom Perignon on ice. When the book was done, really done, he would light a single cigarette with a single wooden match. He would take a deep drag and sip the chilled champagne as the snow fell outside the frosted window panes. That final ritual made it real. Like closing a circle. On this particular day, the ritual was ending with something new. Something final. Paul had just typed the last page of his brand new manuscript, Fast Cars. It was a stark departure from the Misery series, and he knew that many fans were going to be very unhappy about it. But to be honest with you, he wanted something new, something raw, unromantic, laced with hard-boiled grit and the residue of real life. No flowing dresses, no Regency-era grand ballrooms, not in this one. No Misery Chastain. She was dead, buried, gone. He was free of her, and he felt good about it. He looked at the final words again. It said, "You only live long enough to regret what you didn't do." That's true. He tore the page from the typewriter with a satisfied smile, stacked it atop the rest of the manuscript, and uncorked the champagne. The match flared. The cigarette hissed. For a moment, everything was perfect in 217. The snow was thick outside, but he didn't care. He was Paul Sheldon, and he was starting over. He left the Boulderado that same night, packed the pages into a briefcase, and slipped behind the wheel of his old Chevy Camaro, the same one that he always drove when closing the door on a novel. The storm had worsened. The road snaked and twisted, lined with the gnarled shadows of pines and aspen trees, their skeletal arms clawing across the windshield. Snow whispered across the pavement, cloaking the world in shifting white. He should have probably waited until morning, but, well, Paul was a creature of ritual. It had to be now. So he lit another cigarette and turned the music down low. The blues, something mournful, something fitting for the road. The Camaro's tires hissed over a lot of slush and lots of salt that was lying on the roads. The rhythm of the wipers was the only heartbeat in a landscape that was otherwise silent. And then it happened too fast. The turn. He took the turn. Too fast. Too sharp. Too late. The tires lost grip. The car skidded. The rear fishtailed. Paul gripped the wheel and braced, but the Camaro had already made its decision. Over the embankment, down the slope, and then blackness. He came to in a haze of cold and pain. There was snow in his mouth, in his ears, in his lungs. His legs. Something was wrong with his legs. When he tried to move, a pain like fire lanced through both of them. He screamed, but the sound was weak, muffled by snow and mountains. And then someone was there. A figure in a bulky coat leaning over him. "Don't try to speak. You've had an accident," the voice said. Gentle, feminine, kind. Paul blinked against the snow, against the haze, his vision blurring in and out. "I'm going to help you, Mr. Sheldon," she said. "You're safe now." And then he blacked out again. He awoke to warmth, flickering light, the crackle of a fire. The ceiling was low, wooden, exposed beams, a scent of antiseptic and wood smoke. And then her face. She leaned in close, round cheeks, pale skin, her hair pulled back in a frizzy bun, eyes that sparkled a little too brightly. "Hi, Paul," she said sweetly. "I'm Annie Wilkes, and I'm your #1 fan." He tried to speak, but his mouth was dry. She held a glass of water to his lips. "You've been through quite a lot. I found your car. You're lucky I was nearby. No one else would have found you in time. And then you, well, we don't want to talk about that." Paul coughed. "Hospital," he rasped. Annie smiled. "The roads are closed. Phones are out. But don't worry. I'm a nurse. You're safe here. I'm taking care of everything." He looked down. Both of his legs were in splints. Wooden, crude, wrapped in gauze and medical tape. He didn't know what was worse, the pain or the dread blooming in his chest. That night he lay awake in the narrow bed, lit by the fire and the single oil lamp on the dresser. Shadows danced across the old floral wallpaper. The room was too quiet, too tidy, and somehow wrong. Annie had said that she was a nurse. Annie had said that the roads were impossible and impassable. Annie had said she was his #1 fan. Paul Sheldon closed his eyes and listened to the wind outside. And in the wind, he thought he heard a voice whispering, reading. Night dwellers, you crashed in the mountains and awakened in a stranger's bed with both legs broken. And they say that you're in the presence of your #1 fan. What's your first thought? Gratitude or terror? Let me know in the comments. So chapter 1 ends with a crash, a savior, and a slow building sense that something's not quite right. Stay with me. The snow is only beginning to fall, and Annie Wilkes is only beginning to speak. Chapter 2, Misery's Resurrection. Sometimes the worst prisons have lace curtains and a warm hearth, and someone who knows your every word. Paul Sheldon woke again to the smell of beef stew. The fire crackled in the small hearth. The snow still hissed against the window panes, painting the world outside in endless white. I do love snow. The pain in his legs was less sharp, dulled by the medication that Annie had been giving him. But beneath that relief was an awareness, like a knife at the edge of a dream, that something was off. Annie appeared in the doorway with a tray. Her face was glowing, her smile too wide. I made your favorite, she beamed. Beef stew with carrots. I know that's how Misery likes it, so I imagine that is how you like it too. Am I right? Paul frowned. He hadn't written anything about stew in the Misery books. Annie caught his look. Oh, yes, I know Misery Chastain better than I know most people. I've read all the books, twice each, and I memorized her. Oh, Paul, she's so pretty. I could write a better biography than her own mother. She set the tray down and gently spooned broth toward his mouth. I know you're hurting, Paul, but I've got everything that you need. I'm going to nurse you back to health. I'm going to help you get better. You just rest. Don't you worry about one thing. He tried to ask about her phone. Her smile dimmed. Still don't. The storm is a beast this time of year, but I've got a generator and we're nice and cozy here. All the world's problems can wait until the snow stops. Isn't that right, Paul? Paul just looked at her. Was she all there? The next day, she brought him his manuscript. Fast Cars, the only copy, typewritten, unedited. She set it in his lap like it was something sacred. I found this in your bag, she said. Your new book. I stayed up all night reading it. Paul waited for her opinion, ready for criticism, for confusion, for disappointment. But what he got was silence. Her expression changed. It crumpled, not with sadness, but with something harder. I don't understand it, all that cockadoodie, she said, voice tight. The language, the swearing, all those dirty words. I didn't expect that from you, Paul. Paul blinked. It's a new direction, he explained. More realistic. And he stood perfectly still. I didn't like it. She looked at him, her smile now a rictus of restrained rage. It's not you. You're not some foul-mouthed punk. You're Paul Sheldon, Misery Chastain's creator. The man who wrote Misery's Quest. The man who gave us her love for Ian. The velvet gowns. The snow-chilled walks. The kisses. You made us feel something. He said nothing. You're not like those other writers, she added coldly. Those liars. You're mine. I'm your #1 fan, Paul. Paul lay awake for hours after she left. The pain was coming back. The meds were wearing off. And something else gnawed at him. His manuscript was gone. He hadn't seen where she placed it. Hadn't heard her say she'd keep it safe. His hands trembled. Outside, the wind had stilled. There was a brief, aching silence. Then the door creaked open, slowly. And he stood there, holding a stack of newspapers. Her face was pale. Paul, she said, her face outlined by the light from the hallway. I need to ask you something. She dropped the newspapers on his lap. His name was in the headlines. The accident had been reported and people were looking for him. I didn't tell anyone where you are, she said quietly. I kept you here so you'd be safe. They wouldn't understand. She sat on the edge of the bed. I saved your life. Paul nodded, carefully. Yes, you did. And you owe me. You owe me, she whispered. Then she stood. I forgive you for that trash book. We all have our moments of weakness. I know you didn't mean it. She turned toward the door. But you killed Misery. And Misery's child. She dies in childbirth. That's not something you can come back from, Paul. She turned back, eyes wet. She's dead. Misery Chastain is dead. He thought his throat tightened. I'm sorry, he said, but that was the story that I had to write. And his face darkened. I don't think you've understanding what you've done, Paul. I don't think you understand at all. I'm feeling oogie right now. I'm gonna leave. I'm very unhappy with you, Paul. The next morning, she returned with a charcoal barbecue grill and a box of matches. She tossed the manuscript of Fast Cars into the coals. You can thank me later. You know, I thought about it all night. I was furious at you. How could you do such a thing? Killing Misery Chastain. But I'm gonna give you a chance to redeem yourself. Yes, I am. Paul stared in horror. No, he said. Please don't. But the match had already been struck. She dropped it onto the paper. He watched flames consume his words. Every page, every hour, every day, every moment of solitude and sweat, gone. Annie clapped her hands like a child at the circus. There we go. All clean now. I forgive you, Paul. I do. She turned to him, radiant. And now, you can begin again. You're going to write a new book, Paul. One, just for me. Night Dwellers, if someone destroyed your life's work and demanded that you rewrite it just for them, what would you do? Comply? Or plot your revenge? Let me know in the comments. She's read all the Misery books. She's memorized every line, and now she wants to bring her back. Through Paul's blood, sweat, and broken bones. Let's start with chapter 3. The work begins. A poet once said, a story can be written with ink or carved into flesh. Either way, it will be told. It was raining the next morning, though Paul couldn't see it. He only heard it. Soft taps on the roof like fingernails on a coffin lid. The window across his bed was still tight, but the gray light of day poured in through the curtains, sickly and weak. He couldn't move much, not without screaming. The legs, the drugs, the weight of dread in his chest. He couldn't find the words for what he felt about Annie Chastain. Annie Wilkes. Annie entered the room holding something wrapped in a towel. She placed it gently on the desk she'd set up the night before. I have a surprise for you, she said brightly. Paul didn't answer. With a dramatic flourish, she unwrapped the towel and revealed it. An old Royal typewriter, black and hulking, heavy enough to kill a man. There. It's ready, she whispered, eyes glassy with adoration, just like the one that you used to write Misery's love. Remember, you said it in an interview. Paul stared at it. Annie beamed. It's a little banged up. The end key sticks, but you'll manage. You're strong. You're creative. You'll make it perfect. Won't you, Paul? He shifted, wincing at the pain in his hips. You want me to write a new Misery novel? She nodded eagerly. Yes, you're going to bring her back. You're going to write Misery's return. Misery doesn't die in childbirth. Paul knew then that he was working with someone who, well, had some screws loose. And he knew that his survival would depend on the words that he chose in that moment. He needed to keep her happy. He needed time to heal, time to think, time to find a way out. He gave her the smallest smile that he could manage. I'll need paper. Annie's eyes danced. I already bought the paper, Paul. The kind you like, the cream bond, and the pencils, just in case you need to sketch anything. Oh, Paul, I'm so excited about this. She stood suddenly. I'll go get your pills now, and then you can start outlining. I'm so excited, Paul. So excited! For days, Paul did little but stare at the machine. He couldn't sit up straight for long. His body trembled with the effort. He used the desk to help himself balance as he hunched over the keys. The pain was unbearable, but he typed. He had to type. Slowly, poorly, but enough to make Annie believe. She would read every page aloud after he finished it, tears in her eyes as Misery Chastain came back to life. Misery did not die in childbirth, he had written. She had been buried alive and clawed her way from the grave with her broken nails and strong will. Annie had wept. You're brilliant. You're God's vessel, Paul. Paul wanted to vomit. He tried to explore the house in the brief moments that Annie left him alone, which were few and far between. He waited until her car was gone. Sometimes she would go into town for canned goods or pet food, and he would drag himself from the bed and into the hallway. Once he found the kitchen. He spotted the knives. They were gone. Another time he found the linen closet. He opened it, and he found a weapon, but it was empty. No shells. He returned to bed that day, soaked in sweat, more exhausted than he'd ever been in his life. One morning, Annie brought him breakfast and a different kind of surprise. She laid a rat trap at the foot of his bed. Had a little visitor last night, she said with a giggle. You should have seen how he screamed. She watched Paul's face, just like you did when I set your leg. Remember that, Paul? You cried and squealed, just like that rat. She leaned closer. You screamed like a baby. And it was for your own good. Then she kissed his cheek and left him in the silence. That night, the storm returned, not just outside, but inside the house. Paul awoke to a sound, a dragging, like something heavy being pulled across the floor. And then a slam, distant, but within the walls. He held his breath. Another slam. And then footsteps. But not Annie's. He reached for the lamp. The bulb had been unscrewed. He was alone. It was dark. It was powerless. The faint sound of tapping. The royal typewriter. Clack, 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 clack. He wasn't touching it. Annie wasn't in the house. But the keys were moving. Night Dwellers. If you were forced to write a novel for someone dangerous, someone who might unalive you if the story disappointed them, would you write their ending or your own? Let me know in the comments. Just 1 second, please. Some memories are framed in gold. Others are bound in leather and soaked in blood. The storm passed. A few days later, the sun cut through the gray clouds like a dull knife through skin. The light did little to ease Paul's pain. He was thinner now, the hollows of his cheeks deepening. He moved only when he had to. His legs throbbed constantly, and the painkillers that Annie supplied were beginning to dwindle. She claimed she had trouble getting more from the pharmacy. Just starting to take notice of it, Paul, and you need to learn how to wean yourself off of it, and we'll do it slowly. She also had started locking the medicine cabinet, and her mood, it changed. She became quiet and withdrawn. She stood at the edge of the bed for long stretches, watching Paul with expressionless eyes. Sometimes she wouldn't speak at all. She'd just tilt her head as though listening for something only she could hear. And then she'd say it again with the most dull, emotionless tone. You don't appreciate anything I've done for you. I'm gonna leave now. Paul waited until she left again. This time, she said, to visit the feed store. Her prized pig, Misery, needed pellets. When the sound of the car tires faded down the gravel road, he moved. Slowly, trembling, gritting his teeth. He pulled himself into the wheelchair and rolled into the hallway. He passed the sewing room, the guest room, the spare bathroom, and then her bedroom. He hesitated. Something about it made his chest tighten. The door creaked open. He pushed through. Inside was the bed that was draped in lace, a crucifix above the headboard, an old lamp flickering on the dresser, and beside it, a small, locked drawer. He tried it, but it was jammed shut. Then he spotted it. A book on the nightstand, leather-bound, thick and old. The gold embossed letters read, Memory Lane. He opened it. The first page was innocent. A photo of a young Annie in a nursing school, smiling, holding a stethoscope like a trophy. The next few pages, more photos, graduation, her first nursing job, a certificate of excellence. And then it shifted. Newspaper clippings. Hospital investigates nurse in neonatal unaliving. Tragedy at County General, infant passings surge. No charges filed in mysterious nursery accidents. Dozens of articles, dozens of headlines. The dates spanned years. Paul flipped faster now. His hands shook. There were pictures of babies, birth announcements, obituaries. One article featured a quote from a grieving mother. She said that my baby had turned blue. I never saw him again. They said that it was SIDS, but he was perfectly healthy, I tell you. My baby was perfectly healthy. Another clipping showed Annie in court, smiling with her attorneys. No sufficient evidence. Charges dropped. Nurse returns to work. And then the last few pages, pictures of the Misery Chastain books, covers torn from novels, laminated and labeled, her handwriting scribbled across the margins. Best line, Misery's Promise, page 212. Weak chapter, rewrite when Paul gets better. Misery would never do this. He better fix it. And beneath those, a Polaroid of Paul, unconscious, blood smeared across his face just after the crash. He couldn't remember anyone taking a photo of him. He slammed the book shut. His heart was racing. He tried to put it back as he found it. Tried to make it look untouched. He rolled back down the hallway, but the floor creaked. And just before he reached the bedroom, Annie was there. She stood at the kitchen doorway, silent, holding a sack of pig feet. Paul froze. She didn't say a word. She walked forward slowly. She reached out and removed something from the side pocket of his chair. A single newspaper clipping, one he hadn't realized had fallen into his lap. She looked at it, looked at him. Curious, she whispered. Curiosity killed the writer, Paul. Then she turned and walked away. That night, the typewriter keys moved by themselves again. Paul heard them in the dark. Clack, clack, clack. He sat up slowly. The room was cold, and in the hallway, a faint giggle. Night Rose, you find a scrapbook filled with evidence that the person caring for you has a history of mysterious unalivings attached to their name. Do you confront them, or do you pretend as if you never saw it? Let me know in the comments. Chapter 5. The Hoveling. Mercy is a choice. So is madness. The day began like all others. Paul woke before the sun. The pain in his legs never truly left, but this morning it was different. It was sharper. His knees throbbed. His hips ached. Every joint buzzed with fire. The meds were running low again, and Annie was humming. In the kitchen, in the hallway, in the walls of the house, a gentle lilting sound. Paul reached for the cup on the bedside table. It was empty. She hadn't brought him water. She hadn't brought food. And she hadn't come in. Not for hours. He lay still, listening. And then came the sound of dragging. Heavy wood on floorboards. And then the door opened. She stood in the doorway, wearing a floral house dress. Her hair was neat, her face freshly powdered, but her eyes, it was her eyes. They scared Paul. Why? Because her eyes were dead. She pushed a cart into the room. A tray sat atop it, covered with a towel. Beneath that, shapes, odd ones. She said nothing at first, just closed the door behind her and locked it. Click. Paul sat up, bracing himself. Annie. He said softly. Whatever you're thinking, please. I know you've been out of your room. She interrupted. Her voice was calm. Paul swallowed. I only wanted some fresh air. She smiled. Oh, I know. You're a writer. You need your mind to wander. You need freedom. That's the word you always use, right? Freedom. She stepped forward and peeled back the towel. Underneath was a wooden block, a hammer, a leather strap. Paul's blood ran cold. You see, Paul, she said sweetly, her whole demeanor changing. When the Liberian diamond mines caught thieves, they didn't unalive them. They didn't hang them or anything else like that. They knew that those people still had value, but they couldn't let them run away again, so she picked up the block. So do you. Paul, you have value. He screamed. She shoved the block between his ankles, tight, unforgiving. She picked up the sledgehammer. Her hands didn't shake. She was perfectly steady. Her face didn't change. You made me do this. It's gonna hurt me a whole lot more, Paul, than it's gonna hurt you. And then she swung. The first blow didn't register. At first, there was sound, a sharp crack like frozen branches slipping. But then, fire, pain, a howling, internal detonation of everything from the foot to the spine. Paul screamed again. We're almost done. The second swing came. Another crack. Then silence. Just breath. Just tears. And Annie crying softly. I love you, Paul. This is for your own good. She walked out and locked the door behind her. Paul faded in and out of consciousness, time fractured, reality blurred. At one point, he woke to a bowl of soup beside his bed. The smell turned his stomach. He reached for the spoon with shaking hands. His foot, what was left of it, brushed the blanket. The pain was worse than anything that he could have ever imagined. But he was still alive. And somewhere beneath that pain, beneath the screams, a thought formed. Finish the book. Buy time. Survive. The next day, Annie brought him more paper. The typewriter sat ready, the end key still stuck. But Paul was ready too. He would finish Misery's Return, and then he would find a way to finish Annie Wilkes. Night Dwellers, here's another question for you. You've just been hobbled. Your captor says it's for your own good. What keeps you going at that point? Hope? Or vengeance? Let's take a 5-minute intermission. Get snacks, drinks, walk the doggy, whatever you need to do. 5 minutes, and then I will return with the second half of Misery. I hope you're enjoying it. Shirley says, angry with a lot of vengeance. Mia says, vengeance. James says, possibly both. Magic Moon says, I'd probably be having a huge panic attack. I know me. I'd be angry. And I would get revenge. I would plot it. I would get it. Let me see what we've got here. Thank you, James. Lulu says vengeance. I think most people will. Disciples 25, thank you for sharing the live. Hello, Awakened Buddha J. How are you doing? I see all these stickers. Awesome. Hey, ask me LOL. Hey, Raybab. We're at 100K likes. Oh, nice. We'll start the, you know what, we'll start the next half when we get to 200K. We got some work to do. Please share this live. Share it with friends, family, neighbors, co-workers. Do you have 5 friends? 10 friends on TikTok? Share it, please. Do you have a platform, Facebook, YouTube, Insta? Share it. That's how we are going to get known. It's going to be through word of mouth. Thank you so much. Oh, that is lovely, Snow Tea. Thank you. So we got to get to 200K. Hello, who's that girl? Hey, lovely. Hey, Rose. Hello, Amy. Hello, the Witch of Woodfin. Yellow Rose, welcome in. I'm so glad you're here. Hello, Teddy Claremont. Hey, Spitfire. Run style. I love it. Hello there, Total Woman. How are you? I remember the first time that I watched this movie. It was so scary, but so amazing. I loved it. Hey, Bab, how are you? Hello, Tanya Jean, how are you? I'm your #1 fan. Right. Hello, Leslie Marie. If you are, thank you for the dolphin. If you are just coming in, my name is Bryn Morgan. I'm a horror author. I'm also a teller and a lover of scary stories, paranormal stories, ghost stories, true crime, horror, serial unalivers, urban legend, cryptids, you name it. Did I say Appalachian horror? I think I did. Anyway, I love them all. And if you like them too, hit that follow button and the notification bell and never miss another Twisted Tales Live. Hello there, Lucky Shirt. Hey, Zoe Ann. How are you? Oh, I'm so glad you like it. I'm so glad you like it. Shell, love your name. Lucky 13. If someone destroyed my life's work, I would not be a happy camper at all. So glad to hear it. Got some work. Let's get to 200K. I would like to thank for the following Twisted Trinkets. Ask Me LOL, J Girl and Jackie, good to see you again. Lucky 1322, Zoe Ann, Tonya Jean Recovery, Snow Tea, Jules, hello, Lovely, Rose, Amy with the beautiful butterfly, the Witch of Woodfin, oh, I love that name, Mia, Spitfire, Judy Willis, Kerry King, thank you. Wolves Whisper, I've been thinking about you. Hope you love Little Butterfly. Christy Lou, hello. Lalou, thank you, ma'am. Who's that girl? Shirley. Angel 007, thank you, thank you. Soltis 25, thank you. Marine's Daughter, thank you. Jim Rocks, thank you, thank you. Palm 1, Danis, thank you for the rose. Magic Moon, Sweets, thank you, thank you. Pamela and Julie, thank you so much. You can also visit my Brent's Bewitched Boutique over here. Go in there and check it out. Do what the moon calls you to do. Whether it is a small gift or a large twisted trinket, it is greatly appreciated and goes toward keeping these lives alive. Hello, Carol Langley. How are you? Thank you, thank you. Let's try to light up the gift gallery. Hello, Kathy Mitchell. Hello. And let me go search over here in YouTube. Oh, that's very sweet. Oliver Ama Ravindis. Hey, Truth. Gotcha. Kathy Bates played this part so brilliantly. It was just absolutely amazing. And if you have never watched the movie, oh my goodness. So James Caan plays Paul Sheldon. They couldn't have found a better actor for that. And Kathy Bates is Annie Wilkes, and she is so terrifying in this movie. But you know, I was thinking about this because we're going to be doing horror movie night, where we're going to just pick a horror movie and I'm going to turn it into a short story. And you know, it's probably going to make you want to go back and watch these movies again. I know when I told the story of Hellraiser that there were a lot that said, I'm going to go back and watch that again. I haven't watched that in so long. So maybe it will be the same with Misery. Perfectly casted. Absolutely. Hello, Michelle. How are you? Oh, really, Magic Moon? Navy blue. It is a navy blue gown. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the love. Thank you for sharing the live. Please share it to your FYP. 176K. We've got a little bit more to go. The scene with the sledgehammer, yes, it is bad. In fact, when I was watching it, the first time I've watched it, I try to watch it maybe every 2 years. But the part where she comes in the room with that sledgehammer, and it's so real. It is so, so real. Thank you for sharing the live. Love coming in here and saying hi to everyone. I did too, Lulu. Like, I was just like, oh my God, that is terrible. Because you hear it. You definitely hear it. But it's just beautifully filmed. It's a gorgeous movie. It's terrifying. It's a thriller. It's a horror movie. It's just everything wrapped up in one. Yes, it is. It's terrible. Definitely. Hello, Anne Marie Stinson. Thank you. Oh, she definitely had an obsession. Thank you, sweets. You really couldn't. I mean, the actors were just amazing. They were incredible. I again want to give a huge shout out to my night watchers. Um, they are so great at pinning questions and audience interaction, getting it all revved up. And tonight I just was like, you know what? Sit back, enjoy the story. Oh, she is good in that one. She definitely is. American Horror Story, yes. Most definitely. She truly does. The book was really good too, yeah. In fact, I was a little bit nervous about taking it and turning it into a short story for the live, but I think it's pretty good. She definitely is. Another one of my favorite movies that she's in is Dolores Claiborne. That one's really good. And then I love the one that she's in. One of my favorites, Fried Green Tomatoes. I love that one. Titanic. How can I forget that? Molly Brown. Yes. Yes, that one was really, really good. Is she good in that? I haven't seen Matlock. I was honestly thinking it was like maybe a redo, a female version of Matlock. They used to come on years ago, but apparently it's something else. She is. One of my night watchers, if you could please do a lovely thing and post the YouTube link up there for Bonnie Sue, I would appreciate it. I know, Tawanda. I know. That is just a brilliant movie. It definitely is. Let me know when we're at 200K. Another thing that I want to say, Night Watchers and Night Dwellers, thank you so much for beginning to, um, like the content that's coming out. I really appreciate that. So the way that I am doing it, and I am gaining, we're gaining followers. We're gaining them quickly. In just the past 2 weeks, we've gained 3,000 followers. So it's definitely working, but it works from the bottom up. So the way that we're going to get more traction is by pressing the share button. You don't actually have to share it with anyone, just press it, and TikTok algorithm thinks that you are actually engaging. The next thing you do is you bookmark it. And then the third thing that you do, and this is the most important part, you have to comment. You have to comment more than 5 words. So you can say, awesome video, Bryn Morgan, loved it, exclamation point. When you put emojis, the TikTok algorithm thinks you're a bot. And so, that messes up a lot of stuff. And then like it. Click like. Did you know that if you like it too quickly, that it makes TikTok algorithm think you're a bot? So engage from the bottom up. I'm sure you've seen all the videos, but I'm telling you, I've seen the fruits of it. So, and then the next thing you're going to do, you're going to follow me. But you're probably already following me, but someone else will follow me. So, but I am just so excited. Oh, we got to 200K. Awesome. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you love it, Zoe Ann. Something just fell, but I don't know what. Well, I'm going to keep on bringing them, Zoe Ann. You are so welcome, James. So, like I said, bottom up. Watch those videos. Start at the bottom. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you. I'm also going to change up the music. I like to put in some variety. Chapter 6, The Dance of Madness. Let's get back into the story though. You've got your popcorn, your chocolate, whatever you're eating or drinking. It is time. Lower your lights. Lock your doors. Light a candle for ambiance. It just goes with a scary story. Pull your curtains nice and tight. Wrap yourself up in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to enter your room. The line between creator and destroyer blurs when your story becomes your cage. Time lost meaning in Annie Wilkes' house. Days blurred into one another like ink, smudged across a wet page. The only constants were the sound of the wind howling outside, the rattle of the typewriter keys. I love the sound of an old typewriter, don't you? and the measured steps of Annie's soft-soled shoes on the wooden floors. Paul wrote, typed, suffered. The royal typewriter was now both his lifeline and his prison. The end key stuck so often he began avoiding words that needed it. He typed through waves of agony, his ruined legs propped on makeshift cushions, every word a labor of endurance. But Annie loved it. Every night, she'd sit beside him and read what he'd written aloud. She'd whisper, sigh, cry, even moan at times, not for Paul, but for Misery Chastain. Misery is a phoenix, Paul, she said once, running her fingers through Paul's hair. You brought her back with such grace, Paul. I could almost forgive you for what you did in Misery's child. She tilted her head then, but not quite. Paul kept his expression calm. Inside, he was dying. He couldn't take it much longer. One morning, Annie didn't come to his room. By noon, he began to worry. By nightfall, panic took root. Then just after midnight, he heard something from the hallway, screaming. Not words, not pain, something else. Rage. He tried to get to the door, but couldn't reach. The wheelchair wouldn't budge over the rug, so he waited. Eventually, the door opened. She stood there, wild-eyed and shaking. I went into town, she whispered. They didn't have Misery's trial. Can you believe that? Not a single copy of it. Her voice trembled. They're phasing out the series. Out of print, she looked up. I blame you. I blame you for what you did. What you did was cock-a-doodle. The next day, she didn't bring him food. The day after, she brought him a knife, set it beside his soup bowl. I want to see if you're brave, she said, in that robotic tone. I want to know if you could really do what Ian did at the end of Misery's journey. You wrote that scene so well, Paul Shelton. He stared at the blade, cold steel gleaming. He didn't touch it. She smiled and took it away. Good. I like it better when you suffer slowly. Paul noticed something strange after that. Annie was changing. She began wearing her old nursing uniform, starched white, tidy and clean. She started speaking in the voice of her old hospital days, referring to herself as head nurse Wilkes. She began giving Paul exams, taking his pulse, checking his eyes, muttering about blood pressure and sedatives. She even told him she found a new sedative at the feed store. Said she'd try it on him. He didn't argue. He kept writing. He rewrote chapters when she demanded it. He added more flowery language that she loved. He brought Misery back from the grave with all the syrupy romance that Annie loved. And though it all angered him, through it all he plotted. Carefully, quietly, watching, listening. For the first time since he had arrived, Paul was no longer reacting. He was waiting. That night, he found something under his bed. one of the dinner knives that she had dropped weeks ago. It had slipped between the frame and the mattress. His fingers shook as he grasped it. His heart pounded. He slid it under the mattress, hidden, waiting. The next day, she kissed his forehead. She was completely back to her old self. "You made me so happy, Paul," she said. "You brought her back. You brought my misery back." Then she whispered, "Only one chapter left, Paul. Don't let me down." And she left. She hummed. It was the same lullaby from the baby's room. Night dwellers, if someone praised your work while threatening your life, would you keep writing or plan your escape between the lines? Let me know in the comments. The end of a story is not always the end. Sometimes it's the beginning of hell. Paul wrote the last line in Misery's return on a freezing Thursday afternoon. The ink ribbon in the royal typewriter was nearly dead. His fingers bruised and trembling from overuse. The room reeked of sweat, fear, and rubbing alcohol. His body was a ruin, but the page was beautiful. He stared at it, then pulled the stack of finished pages together. It was all there. Everything Annie had wanted. Misery had returned from death, married Ian, born a child beneath a storm-torn sky. Everything overwritten, rewritten, romanticized, every demand fulfilled. And at the very end, a single line, written just for Annie Wilkes. There is no death where there is love. There is only misery. Annie entered the room wearing a pristine white dress, lace-trimmed, high-necked, straight out of a Misery Chastain novel. Her hair was curled, her eyes glistened. She held 2 glasses and a bottle of champagne. Paul had seen it before. Rooms 217. His ritual. She remembered everything. "I knew you'd finished today, Paul," she said. "I felt it in my soul." Paul nodded. "It's ready." She walked slowly to the desk, lifted the stack of pages with trembling hands, and pressed them to her chest. "I knew you wouldn't disappoint me." She kissed his forehead, then went to get the matches. Paul had spent 3 nights preparing. Every napkin, every tissue, every scrap of envelope she'd given him, soaked in lighter fluid from the lamp, folded tight, hidden beneath the typewriter's base, and now he pulled it out. He held them over the manuscript. When she turned, matches in hand, she paused. "What are you doing?" He didn't flinch. "I'm going to set it on fire." Annie's face went pale. "No!" He held the papers over the tray she used for food, piled them high. He struck the match. "Paul, don't!" He looked her in the eye. "If I die, misery dies with me." He dropped the match. The papers ignited instantly. Annie screamed and lunged forward. Paul reached under the mattress, grabbed the kitchen dinner knife and swung. It caught her shoulder. She shrieked and tumbled into the desk. Flames danced beside them. She came at him again, stronger than she had any right to be. Paul braced himself as she tackled the wheelchair, sending them both crashing to the floor. The fire roared. He grabbed the typewriter and slammed it into her face. Once, twice. Blood sprayed the desk. Her mouth opened in a silent scream. Still, she reached for him. They fought in the wreckage of his prison. She bit his hand. He screamed. She reached for his throat. And then, with everything he had left, Paul shoved her head against the burning manuscript. Flames licked her hair. She shrieked and rolled back. Paul crawled, dragging himself toward the hallway. The room behind him filled with smoke. He heard her stumbling after him. He turned. She collapsed in the doorway, whispering Misery's name, and then she was still. Paul made it as far as the kitchen before blacking out. He woke in a hospital, real this time, not a bedroom dressed as a fairy tale. A nurse, real, kind, gentle. You were found near an old farmhouse, sir, she said. Collapsed in the snow. There was these pages, they said, that was burned all around you. Your leg is in ruins, but you're alive. Paul didn't speak for a long time, and then he asked, Is she gone? The nurse frowned. There was a woman. They found her body beside a burned out typewriter. Looks like she'd been crushed. House was full of news clippings. Of you. Paul nodded. He wasn't surprised. Not really. Months had passed. He recovered mostly. He walked again. Barely. He wrote again. Painfully. But he never wrote about misery. Not again. Sometimes, though, he'd wake up in the night, hear the keys, click-clack, click-clack, and a voice whispering in the dark, I'm your number one fan. Night Dwellers, if you were given the chance to destroy the one story that's been your prison, would you light the match or stay captive to your creation? Chapter 8, Recovery, or What Comes After Madness. The wounds heal, but the story stays. Paul Sheldon sat in his New York apartment staring at the blinking cursor on a blank document. 3 months had been passed since he was found crawling in the snow outside Annie Wilkes' burned-out farmhouse. 3 surgeries, 2 skin grafts, hours of physical therapy, and daily appointments with a trauma specialist who kept telling him he was making excellent progress. He didn't feel like progress. He felt like ash, the kind that clings to your clothes and won't wash away. He had tried to tell them what happened. The sheriff, the doctors, the press. They believed parts of it. The rest they filled in with fiction, with pity, with half-truths that made better headlines than the full horror of it all. They didn't see the scrapbook. They didn't read the pages of Misery's return. They didn't know that she had hobbled him like livestock. They just called her a mentally disturbed recluse, a lonely fan, One article referred to her as a misunderstood admirer. Paul stopped doing interviews after that. The book offers started rolling in. Publishers wanted a memoir, a tell-all. Blood, ink, and misery. The fan who loved too much. The writer's nightmare. He rejected them all. He didn't want to remember Annie Wilkes. The problem was, he couldn't forget her. At night, he still woke gasping. His legs tingled. The scent of burning paper clung to him. He'd wake with phantom pain in his ankles, and sometimes he'd look to the corner of the room and swear he saw her silhouette, watching, smiling, waiting. He tried to write a new book, not about misery, not about Annie, something fresh, something normal. He typed 4 pages and broke into tears. He threw the laptop across the room. When he picked it up again, the screen was cracked, like its ribs had been. It stayed that way for weeks. Then, one rainy afternoon, Paul visited a bookstore in Brooklyn. He wandered into the romance aisle, out of habit. There, tucked between dusty paperbacks and forgotten authors, was a battered copy of Misery's Journey. He pulled it off the shelf. Someone had left a sticky note inside it, a reader's review. Best book ever. I cried when Misery died. I wish she could have come back one more time. Paul stared at the handwriting. It was delicate, rounded. It looked just like Annie's. He dropped the book and stumbled back. A store clerk asked, "Are you okay?" He nodded, but he didn't go home. Not right away. Instead, he wandered until he found himself at the entrance of a small park. He sat on a bench and watched the leaves fall. It was there that he realized something. Annie Wilkes had taken everything from him. His body, his freedom, his pride. But not his words. He could still write, and so he would. Not for the world, not for money, not even for the fans. He would write for himself. That night, he sat at his desk with a yellow notepad and a black pen. He wrote the first line. It didn't begin with misery. It began with silence and a scream that never ended. Night dwellers, can you ever truly escape the person who tried to destroy you? Or do they live on, somewhere, in the quiet spaces of your mind? Some tools shape stories. Others hold ghosts. Paul found the package on a rainy afternoon. No return address. No postage, just sitting there at the foot of his apartment door, wrapped in brown paper, tied with twine. Something about the shape made his stomach turn before he even opened it. He knew before he cut the twine, before the paper was peeled back, before the still gleamed under the dim hallway light. It was a typewriter, just like the Royal. The exact one. He nearly screamed when he saw it. Instead, he shoved it back in the box, dragged it inside, and locked the door behind him. Bolts, chain, deadlock. He sat on the floor and stared at it. His hands trembled. He hadn't typed on a Royal since... He swallowed. Since the hobbling. He called the police. They sent someone by, a young officer who looked like he hadn't read a book in years. Paul explained what it was, where it came from. The kid nodded and took notes. Must be a fan, he said. Probably thought they were just being clever. Paul didn't respond. The officer didn't take the machine. He didn't dust it for prints. It's not a crime to send a gift, Mr. Sheldon, he said with a shrug. And then he left. That night, Paul drank half a bottle of whiskey and stared at the typewriter until his vision blurred. Then he opened the lid. He touched the keys. His fingers remembered them. Each one felt like a tooth in a familiar monster's grin. He rolled a blank sheet into place. The tension in the room groaned. Like a threat remembering how to scream, he typed, "Help me." The keys snapped like bone. He yanked the paper out, tore it in half, tossed it into the fireplace. The next morning, he found a new page already in the machine. Typed. Words he hadn't written. It said, "Don't you love me anymore, Paul?" He staggered back, looked around the apartment. No sign of forced entry. No sounds, no footprints, just the page. He tore it out and checked the back, blank. He checked the ribbon, untouched. He checked the door, unlocked. But on the inside of the peephole, someone had left a lipstick kiss, bright red, just like the lipstick color that Annie wore. Paul didn't leave the house for 3 days. He stopped answering the phone. He unplugged the typewriter, but the next time he walked past it, it was plugged back in. He threw it in the garbage chute. The next morning, it was back on his desk, right where it had been. And this time, the end key was stuck. One night just before sleep claimed him, he thought he saw a shape in the hall mirror. Tall, hair in a bun, white dress with lace sleeves. When he blinked, it was gone. But the next morning, another page waited in the typewriter. You can't kill a story, Paul. Night dwellers, if something from your past came back and it knew your darkest fear, would you fight it? Or would you sit down and write? Final chapter. The number one fan. The dead don't knock, but sometimes they still read. Paul stopped sleeping. The typewriter wouldn't let him. Every morning a new page appeared, typed in clean, deliberate strokes. Sometimes a single line, sometimes a full paragraph, but always in her voice. Annie's voice. It didn't matter if he unplugged it, it didn't matter if he smashed the paper, burned the ribbon, tossed it from the window. Every morning it returned, neat, polished, demanding. Misery is lonely, Paul. You owe me a proper ending. Tell the truth. He began to write. Not the book Misery's Return, not the memoir that the world wanted, but the truth. Word by word. The crash. The house. The lock on the door. The hobbling. The scrapbook. The knife. The final chapter that he set on fire. He poured it out as if Annie was there beside him, because maybe, just maybe, she still was. Neighbors said they saw him talking to himself. He stopped answering the phone. He told his publisher to delay the next novel. He wrote long into the nights, the sound of the royal echoing off the apartment walls. When he paused, he'd hear footsteps in the kitchen, or the soft, unmistakable sound of someone flipping through pages. One evening, when he typed the words, "I unalived Annie Wilkes," the lights flickered. The typewriter stopped. Then slowly, with no hands upon the keys, it typed, "Are you sure?" He screamed, threw the machine against the wall, and this time it was damaged beyond repair. Pieces scattered. Silence followed, and then from behind him, a laugh. When he turned, she wasn't there, but on the broken typewriter's platen, resting like a jewel, a single lock of black hair tied with a white ribbon. He moved out of the apartment the next day, left everything behind. Took only one thing with him, the manuscript that he'd written in terror, and he titled it "The Number One Fan." He said it was fiction, but deep down, he knew it wasn't. At the book signing 2 years later, a woman in a floral dress stepped up to the table. Her eyes were glassy, her smile wide. She held a copy of The Number One Fan with trembling hands. "I'm your biggest admirer," she said. Paul looked up and froze. If someone loved your work so much that they would die for it, could you ever really escape them, even after death? Thank you for joining me for Misery, a story by Stephen King that became a huge movie. Watch it. It's really good if you haven't. You are welcome, Marine's daughter. So glad you enjoyed it, XJ. Thank you, Mia. Acid TV, thank you for sharing the live. I'd hire a huge bodyguard and get some big dogs. I hear that. You're welcome, Firefly. I know, Jules, it is a freaky book. I'm so glad, Shirley. So we have compiled all the requests that came in last night, and so I have to stay tuned next Thursday for the horror movie Brought to Story Time. I'm so glad you liked it, Julie. Love it, love it, love it. You are welcome, sweet. Ray-Ban, no! I love it. I love that you are my number one fan. Love it, love it, love it. Are you gonna watch it? Oh, it's so good. So good. Well, good. That means I was good enough. I was very descriptive with it. Tomorrow night is the will of fate. Let the will of fate decide the stories I tell tomorrow night. No, Julie, we will do, I think the meet and greet will be like once, maybe every 2 weeks. Same with the Sunday Live for subscribers. We'll make that on a bi-weekly basis as well. Thank you all for everything that you did tonight. Thank you so much for the likes and the love. Let's get to 300K. 300K. Spinning eyes. Yes. And if you have a suggestion, for a horror story, horror movie that you would like to hear in story form, just go ahead and submit it in the comments and we will make it happen. Love you, Martha. I did have a typewriter, but now I just use everything on my laptop. Tappity, tappity, tap, tap, tap. Let's get this going. If I'm shaking, it's because I'm tapping. I'm tapping for myself. Hello, Bryant. How are you? 13 Ghost Siamese. Ooh. I am so excited. I am tappity tap tap tapping away. Can someone, I think we're pretty close. Yes, they do, Magic Moon. Yes, they do. Poasttown Elementary School, Ohio. Thank you, Mia. It's definitely paranormal. 283K. Let's get to that 3. You know, I know that we are growing. It is a process. And, you know, I see a lot of lives that have a lot more people in them, but they don't have as many likes as we do. So, Mansfield Prison 2 in Ohio. Oh, thank you for that. Chariot of Fire. Thank you for the follow. Chariot of Fire. Do you like scary stories? Hello, Dan. How are you? Thank you for the follow, Monric 21424. Thank you. Walmart in Galveston Island is very haunted. It was an old orphanage with the hurricane of 1906. Ooh. Okay. That one sounds really good too. Thank you for all the suggestions as well. I don't think that mine is updating on my end. Monric, do you like scary stories? Good, Dan. So glad to hear it. 291. Let's go. 292. What about that hotel in San Diego in Coronado? I'm gonna have to look that up. I will definitely look that one up. The screen is shaking, but it's for a good reason. So I am just tippy tapping away. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the follows, for the likes. Thank you for those lovely roses. Carrie King, thank you, thank you, thank you. The School and Prison is on YouTube. Okay, got it. Let's tap, tap, tap. We're almost there. $300K. Awesome job, everyone. Thank you so much. We did it. Awesome. Awesome work. Thank you. Night dwellers, hush. The hour grows late. The veil is thin. The hands of fate now curl around your weary soul, where dreams slip deep in dark control. The candles flicker, cold winds bite, and something stirs beyond your sight. You felt it there, behind your screen. A whisper from your shadowed queen. I reign where moonlight dares not gleam. The ruler of your last long dream. With crown of thorns and voice of flame, the queen of shadows speaks your name. So bow your head, unlock your door. The dead still walk and beg for more. And when the dark begins to see, you'll know you gave your fears to me. And in the darkest corridors